With time, a seed becomes a tree, sheltering us. With time, a skill becomes a talent, empowering us. With time, a technology becomes a tool, enhancing us. By nature, time gives value to almost everything, yet the very thing our society gives value to, our money, loses value over time. This paradox warps our reality by defying the laws of nature, and it stems from the belief that $1 today is worth more than $1 tomorrow, meaning money must always lose value. We built our reality off of this model. Time value of money, we call it, but in reality, this is just dogma. Since we can keep making more of it, we end up destroying our own purchasing power. So we put it in stocks, put it in bonds, put it in land, put it in funds, put it in crypto, put it in gold. But we are not oracles, so what do we know? We know that it's hard to get by. We know some people may never retire. Is time value of money a lie since it discounts the monetary value of our time? If time is money, how are they moving in different directions? We're working longer for less, we end up just giving away our freedom. Give up liberty for policies, give up our agency to the authorities. Because when our foundation is built on complexity, we simplify humans by giving up our humanity. Reality check, we've strayed too far from the truth. The world economy's a wreck when 1 + 1 no longer equals to 2. And if life's created from the truth, along the way something got screwed, and we let our own dogma subjectify value. We divorce action from consequence. We defy the law of physics when we make scarcity infinite. We disregard the language of mathematics. So our systems are built in a fallacy. Our society's based in a fantasy. In the absence of truth, we're living in the shadows of our own reality. And that's the root problem. Man-made rules can be broken. As our trust crumbles, so does the progress of our civilization. But one thing remains constant: no one can cheat nature. So why not use it to architect a stronger base layer? The most beautiful buildings engineered based on these consequences. Natural law drives rigor needed to build something enduring, uncompromising on principles that accounts for the flaws. Because when our lives are at stake, the gravity of truth cannot be ignored. So if our monetary systems were designed like structures, it would embody energy and matter, so the money itself matters. An unbreakable limit enforced by costliness of creation ensures the structure holds value for many generations. A rule-based system governed by maths builds a transparent ecosystem that can self-error correct. With no one in charge, no words are taken as fact. Only work from computation can actualize truth of timestamps, and like water flowing off a cliff down the path of gravity, computational energy makes time flow one way only. It is this irreversibility which gives value to our money by upholding consensus and scarcity to create one shared reality. Now the map is the territory. Now we're working with high fidelity. Now money is truthfully time and energy bound by finality. Now we have the ability to manifest each of our dreams and build a world that is much more reflective of all of our needs. And that's the purpose of money, merely a tool to shape our reality, merely a function to harness and express individuality, just a way to live freely, just a means for possibility. Because when we build on integrity, we enhance the beauty of humanity. The most beautiful societies are built from diversity of our thoughts that come to life when we're empowered individually. Because when our money tomorrow is worth more than today, we shift from predicting to creating the future ourselves. And when our money grows in value, we grow thoughtful in how we use it. Natural law drives rigor needed to fund something enduring, something truly worth it, something that pushes the sky's limit, something only possible when our real value and consequence exist in boundless virtual dimensions. Imagine potential creations fueled by monetary life force lasting for many generations. We will venture into new territories and unleash these possibilities once we learn to embrace the truth of our reality.
All right, guys. Sorry, I love that song so much. We do have things going on today. We got the earnings calendar. It looks like we might have some Matterport going on. It looks like we got Airbnb. We got Bit Farms. Can everybody hear me here? I heard somebody saying that they were lagging. Should we try to get Jesse to change ISPs 2 times? Is it lagging? Are we good? Still good now. Okay, great. I was gonna say, it better be good, man. I switched back to the original one I didn't have problems with. I am excited. My wife got me a gift when I was on vacation, and I think it's pretty applicable. Probably gonna stick that somewhere here, but I love that she knows me. Anyway, so yeah, might real quickly here. I think actually, let me do this. I'm gonna pull up the map stock heat map just to show kind of what was happening in the markets today. Looks really broad based and strong. Not as strong as the decline. Could be a dead cat bounce, but no, I'm kind of liking what I'm seeing so far. I do want to look at something else here real quick. I want to pull up since we have some earnings, a bunch of earnings. I want to pull one of them up and just drop it into my screen down here. Let me just do that. And then I will add it. I can actually do this with two. Maybe I will. Maybe if there's another one, if you guys want to pull up another stock, you let me know. But for now, we're going to look at some bit farms, and we're going to monitor how this is doing in the background while we talk about the latest events from today. I am probably going to give it a go. I was talking about on X on trying to maybe make a separate session where I talk more about politics and less about that just within this one. That way I'm more focused on what we're doing here, even though some of this might overlap. I'll only talk about it when the political thing that's being spoken of is like detrimental for whatever's going on. Anyway, I am liking the bounce that we're seeing in bit farms. It looks like up 2.5%. Let's see how this one does. Again, I think that they've got earnings today as well. This is one I'm going to keep up for now. If you guys see anything interesting with any other earnings reports coming out, though, let me know and we can take a look at it. For now, I'm going to jump around here and we're going to do a few things. We're going to look at some economic data. Sorry, I'm not as well prepared with my bookmarks as I usually am. But not that I'm ever really well prepared, but I'm usually better. I wanted to talk about a few things. So let's get across all the economic data real quick, and then we'll jump into, the normal stuff, the Bitcoin, the Tesla, the rest of the stocks, looking at your guys' stuff. But I really want to focus looking at the economic from a distance first. And I thought this was interesting. It shows the global distribution of market cap by region. You could see how much of the United States makes up. This is because of our military. This is because of our world reserve currency status, which exists because of our military. So we don't want to drop the military budget, but if you look here, you can see how much power the West wields compared to, other parts of the world in regard to market cap and investment, right? So I just thought this was fascinating. I think it's a good thing to understand how much power we have across the world. It's a lot, and with that power, we should be wielding it well. And that's something we need to work on from all sides. Peruvian Bull. Peruvian Bull was the guy that had the great breakdown about the Japanese carry trade yesterday that I posted and retweeted a few different times. I thought what he said here was prescient. It said, the result of any crash is more accommodation. Do you get it yet? The real risk is a melt up. And this has been my argument for a while, that we're going to have a melt up. And then the question is, when it does melt down, what does that look like? And is that just more stimulus and a rubber band back up? Or is that, oh shit, this is the big one? But I do think that the next path up is one, it is going up. Or I should say the next path is going up. And I wanted to be clear on that. And also, too, I talked about this a little bit yesterday, but the person who created the SAM rule, one of these things that was getting touted around by all the bears that got really excited, said that she doesn't believe it's actually triggering. She believes that all of the illegal immigration that we've had coming into the country over the last 3.5 years probably is pushing the unemployment rate higher, but also that's lowered wages and made it cheaper to employ because you can grab a bunch of people that barely speak English to replace people that might be like working at, in a kitchen at a McDonald's, making dick, and it's like some high school kid and they're complete pricks to the customers and the people around them and don't care about their job. And then you take somebody who's like an illegal immigrant who just wants to work and have a place to live, and they're like a good person, because that's probably the majority of them. And they'll do it for a lot less pay and off the books, right? So, and if they're getting driver's licenses like it looks like they are in Minnesota and other parts of the country, even though they're an illegal immigrant, then that makes it easier to get a job, right? So I actually believe what she's saying, and that the SAM rule isn't triggering, and that even this high unemployment rate number might actually be a positive in a way, and that people are looking at it the wrong way. Real quick, my viewer count cannot be 0 because you people are talking to me. So let me just reset this. Sometimes OBS can be a little goof. So refresh. We got people here now. We got our stock ticker up. We're talking about things. Isn't this exciting? All right, Caleb Franzen. Sometimes Caleb pisses me off, but for the most part, I love this guy. And that's probably everybody, and I'm sure I'm that way with people too. They probably feel that way about me, I should say. He said, my biggest concern right now is that everyone should be aware is that the high-yield credit spreads are breaking out. Not only are they making new year-to-date highs, up 11% today, but they're also breaking above the linear regression channel from the highs. This is a threat. I actually agree with him. This is a threat. But I will say this. This is also starting from an abnormally low base. We're not going out that much in time frame. So it's not a threat to me right now, but I do think he's right. This is something we should be looking at. PayPal holding really strong. I know. Let's just jump to that real quick. PayPal up almost 4%. I can't hate that. They had a great quarter. It was a blowout quarter. We're sitting right above peak volumes. This thing wants to scream higher. And I made a post earlier today saying, wouldn't it be ironic? And don't get me wrong, somebody made a joke about 2025 calls being just shit right now because they're down like 90%. I'm like, you're right. They probably are going to remain shit. Maybe they rebound because people speculate and you can unload them. I don't know. But I tell you this, the 2026s are looking real good with a 95 strike right now. So maybe I make all my money back from this, the 2026, and maybe a little bit of 2025 if it ever comes around. It's got to move fast, otherwise they're dust. But yeah, so that one's chasing time, the 2025s. But I'm not worried about the 2026. I think that we could get to 80s. I think we can get to 90s. I think ultimately, I think like again, 82 is a nice solid area. Because if you look over here, that's where there's just really clear indications going all the way up to like the 97 range. I think that's just a beautiful price to get out. And with these being the calls I'm in, with them being January 2026, if that kind of stuff was to happen over the next 2 quarters, and you got 9, 10, 11 months left for them to play out, there'd be so much extrinsic value in that. I would be happy to exit my trade, jump into some stocks, and buy my favorite things. And I think it would be ironic if PayPal makes me a bunch of money in the third quarter and fourth quarter, and then I can tell people to F off while I take that money and buy cool things that are maybe still depressed at the time. We'll see. We don't know how quickly we're going to bounce. So far, I think we're doing pretty good. But we could have some dead cat bounce worries. We've got Iran still threatening Israel. We need to see how that plays out. And there's a lot of other chaos in the world without going into too much of the political scene. But with what's happening in Venezuela and now even worse in Bangladesh, there's just a lot of craziness. So we'll see how it all goes. Real quickly, let me read a little bit of chat, and then we're going to jump in and start looking at indices and talking about the big picture. Alex Garcia was up 5% at some point today. So if you're pro-union, a strong way, don't pretend migrations is not counter. Yeah, literally, if you're pro-union, these illegal immigrants are going to be taking your jobs. Don't get me wrong. The unions might save your job for a period of time because these people haven't been unionized. But if your competitors can offer cheaper prices because they're able to hire illegal immigrants and pay them a lot less, they'll destroy you. So it's not a win-win for people that are unionized either. It puts pressure on the union's ability to survive. So yeah, there's just a lot of stuff that isn't great. Smash the Like Disease Codex said, I agree with that. Silas says, Patrick Boyle channel has a good video on why the USD is the reserve currency, and there'll be no BRICS reserve. Yeah, there won't be. There won't be. Silas also says, all these societal changes involve trade-offs that must be honestly discussed. A national state is a large community who should choose their new members deliberately and openly. I 100% agree. You're supposed to assimilate. We're not the Borg, but any country throughout history that you go to, you're supposed to go to that country and try and assimilate into it so that you fit in. You're not supposed to take it over. Your goal shouldn't be to take it over and massacre people that aren't like you. Like literally burn them alive. I've seen so many videos and what's happening with Bangladesh of people being chopped up, beaten to death, burned alive, people panicking in their homes because the people outside want to murder them because they're only 8% of the population. That's a very real thing. And I don't want to point out Muslims being the only ones doing it, but they are like 90% of it. So they remind me of Christians during the Crusades 1,000 years ago. They just don't give a fuck about anybody else and say you either conform or you go away. Sorry, I wasn't going to get political. This is why I need a different outlet, guys, so that I don't do that. All right, let's get to it, though. Let's get back to it. Let's look at the S&P today. So the S&P got a nice bounce off the .5. You could see where we tested up quite a bit, but now we've started to retrace. So again, you could see that over the last couple of days. It could turn into like almost a little mini 3 white soldiers, but with wicks at the top. It's steady though. It's trying to progress higher. And again, if you look at the daily over here, we reached oversold conditions. So it looks all right. And it looks like on the daily, we tested the 100 and then pulled back a little bit. Got a lot of volume underneath of us. It would be nice to push this even higher, get above this green trend line that was support at one point, this upward trend line, and then test up to peak volumes at 54.60. But that's a long way off. We could tread here for days just trying to establish some oscillation to the upside. That's just how markets work when you have major moves. It doesn't all have to happen at once, but I think today was a pretty strong day. Let's look at the NASDAQ. The NASDAQ tested the golden retracement zone. So again, it chopped through this. This is just a fib-based extension, but it chopped through it. And again, that same kind of wicking down. It's testing range. It's trying to go up, but it is getting pulled down a little bit. Just like I said, the oscillation is going to exist for this stuff. I do want to point out that the Russell actually was the best performer out of the group again. Now, don't get me wrong, it got butchered over the last week. But it's nice to see it coming up. And man, if we get another third day of the markets going up, I think it's gonna be exciting. Speak my mind. You know I will. It's the only speed I know. Marty McFly says, seen the new figure 01 AI robot on YouTube? Not bad. Looks like the Tesla bot. Don't know if it's a big company. That's actually one my buddy Amit got in. One of the guys was trying to get me into it too, and I was on vacation and I didn't respond to him. So I didn't get invested into the company. I will say this though, and this isn't just because I'm not invested in it. It's one thing to build a really cool robot that's smart. It's another thing to be able to build one that you can make a company off of. And if there's anybody that's proven themselves from a manufacturing standpoint, it's Tesla. So when I see these other robots, they just look like cool toys to me. They look like Lucid. They look like Fisker. They look like things where it's like, hey, if you can make that work, cool. Even Rivian, I would say. But again, I doubt it's going to have the innovation. I doubt it's going to be something that they can sell for a profit. And that matters, right? That's going to be very important, being competitive. So I don't think too much of companies like that. They need to prove a lot. They need to prove that they're as great or close to great as one of the best manufacturing companies that's existed on this earth. Cody, make sure to like the video. My man putting out facts. Thank you, sir. Shale. Love it. Holding lots of stocks. Was hoping to drop a little for leaps. Just to where you could buy some leaps. That's cool. Personally, I am not super excited about buying more leaps right now. My goal is probably to take some gains and start pulling back on leaps to reduce risk. Just because, again, this is a pretty fucking crazy time from an economic standpoint. We're going to be covering some of that in a second. But it's a little wild. And so I'm not going to be dialing into too many. You're going to see me pulling back risk in the quarters ahead, especially heading into early next year. Ryan R., speak your mind. I will. Justin, I work for the fire department. I had a dream the other night. You were my captain, and all we did at work was talk stocks and shit about Kamala. It was an awesome dream. That's great, Justin. Thanks, man. Appreciate that, dude. Marty McFly, on scale, yeah. Alex Garcia, Justin. Shale, didn't get past talking. Too bad, lol. All right. Yeah, no worries. That's cool. All right, so it's nice to see the Russell outperforming. Let's look at the dollar. The dollar got a little bounce today from a strong weakening yesterday. If you look here, we still kind of got this uptrend that we might be holding on to. I keep some of these lines just so I can see kind of, when we're crossing key barriers. I still think, and I'm just going to probably be saying this for a while, that the dollar is just going to keep chopping and that it could do it for the next year and a half. Year to a year and a half. So I'm not too worried about the dollar. I might not even start talking about it anymore outside of maybe checking it once a week, just because I think it's such a small impact. We do have divergence, though. If you look down here in this MACD, you can see divergence. You can see some of that that's been building, even though it started to look like it was going to break down underneath on the monthly time frame here. Let's look at the weekly, though. I'm very curious about how this looks in the week. So it still looks like it could try and go higher, but man, it could break down too. Yeah, so we'll see how this plays out. The ones I care about the most, though, guys, are going to be the yen and the won. That's going to be probably all I'm paying attention to in regard to currencies. And so you could see, so this was considered bad, right? Having the yen breaking out, or I should say breaking down against the dollar to levels that weren't seen since 1986. But what was really bad was the opposite of that when they started raising rates and it started really aggressively appreciating the yen, killing this highly leveraged carry trade that people were doing with Japan where they borrow against the Japanese yen for nothing and in the past got paid to do it so that they could gamble, right? Well, we had a large amount of unwinding. Some people say that it's 50 to 60% unwound. I don't know that the rest needs to unwind anytime soon, but my response to somebody when they asked what I thought about that was 50 to 60% unwound already, and us dropping just all we have so far is nothing to me. So if that's all it is, then I don't really care that much. Now let's look at, so again, a lot of strengthening of the yen against the dollar that got us out of this kind of crazy zones and got us more to like 1998. I guess that's good. We've been in that range since May of 2022, so maybe we can do it a little bit longer. They could last for years, right? The CNY, the Chinese yuan, is gaining strength right now, or I should say the dollar is gaining strength against it. I can see this happening more, again, from a technical standpoint. We could crush their currency. And I think maybe that happens next year. That's my thought process on here. Let's look at the 2-year. Yesterday, we just saw things cascading. Got a nice little bounce back. So the bond market looks like it's stabling here, even though I do think that ultimately we're going to go down to 2.8 in pretty short order. And I've been calling this for a while. I told you we were breaking out of a rising wedge and that it was going to come down. But I do think that 2.8-ish level will act as support. But it's nice to see the bond market calming down. The MOVE index, we're still seeing that this is creeping higher. This is the volatility index for bonds. So even though the rate stabilized a little bit, we're seeing some volatility within it. That's not a great sign. We want to see this die down. I do think that that's what's coming, as long as we're not going to see secondary impacts from this carry trade blowing up, or we don't see high yield credit getting crazy, like Caleb was talking about earlier. Let me see. It's so hard to assess the CNY. That said, deliberate manipulation can cost too much at some point. Oh, it's been deliberately manipulated for a long time, but that's why the CNY is in so much pain right now, because the manipulation, you can see it, right? You could see it. You could see it. Only this time, this is going higher. This pattern is going higher. And I can tell you from on the ground stuff that these guys are in a world of hurt, and that it's going to have to weaken against the dollar in a major way, and they'll have no choice. So that's going to be a big deal. It's going to be a real big deal. All right, so real quickly, let's take a look here at the rest of this economic data. So again, we're going to be monitoring. I'm going to be monitoring high yield credit spreads so that we know whether or not this is going crazy. Also, if I'm not available and you want to make sure you're following this, follow my buddy Caleb Franzen. I love him and hate him. So I'm kidding. I don't hate him. He's a great guy, but he needs to get to 50,000 anyways. And he's a good person to bounce ideas off of, and I have a lot of respect for him. So follow him. Political shit. Skipping. Seth Golden, that was mislabeled. The NASDAQ McClellan Oscillator, an oversold savvy bull zone where one should be ready, active allocator, or have an active allocator game plan. So all he was saying is If you go back and you look at the markets in September of last year, and March of this last year, or all these time frames, like all the major bottoms, this thing signaled by the effing dip. And this is one of many signals that told you to do that. So you should have done it. Also, I got to talk to this. I don't even know if I have all the bookmarks for this, but Javier Milei has basically removed rent controls, and the supply of places available has increased 200% in 6 months as prices are dropping. So the rent controls, and I've said this before, and I don't want to get political, so I'll try and avoid it, but the rent controls were screwing the market and creating an imbalance that prevented new supply from coming online. And he's fixed that, and it's up 200% in 6 months where people are actually able to start affording rents. And this isn't the only thing. Construction numbers went from dropping hard to starting to just shoot up like crazy. So Argentina's already starting to benefit from this man's policies. And he completely butchered their government, like Elon butchered the employment at X. So this tells us, people all the time say, no, you can't get rid of 70% of U.S. government. That's insane. Well, if you have a government job and you don't do dick, you might want to figure out how to get early retirement, because I would argue that it's not insane and that we've got multiple people doing it in different ways. And again, Elon wants to be a part of that government council staffing commission. So, and he's interviewing Donald Trump. Sorry, we're getting a little political. He's interviewing Donald Trump on Monday. So, again, if this happens, get ready for smaller government. And that would also fix a lot of problems that we have in the U.S. economy right now, like our spending, right? If anybody has ever been to the DMV, or if you ever do, like, we don't even have a portal for citizenship. How the fuck is that possible? How come the government can't tell me every year what my taxes are? Why do I have to do it? How dumb is our system right now? Anyway, can't even pay with Bitcoin. It's fucking stupid. We can do better, and we will. All right, U.S. economy. Told you the Bank of Japan and Powell will work to find a solution. It says from Radar, it said the Bank of Japan to hold emergency meeting to discuss international finance markets. And so, these guys are working through solutions. You know that the Treasury, Yellen, and that Jerome Powell and the Bank of Japan are all talking through this, trying to find common ground to say, yes, we won't crush Japan. Yes, we'll work with you. Don't let the carry trade unwind. Our economies can't handle it, nor can the world. So again, it's crazy to say, but there are people that try to find solutions to things, even if you don't like them. Okay? So solutions can be found. They might not even be good ones, but they can fix the problem for a long time, right? So don't bet on the end of the world. Yesterday morning, everybody, and over the weekend, everybody, the sky was falling and everything was going to fucking come to an end. Everything was. It was there already. Peak fear. Dropping into single digits, extreme fear in crypto, extreme fear in CNN, fear and greed index across markets. Everybody was ready for the world to come to an end. And all I did was buy the fucking dip. And we're going up. And have been since yesterday morning. So, doesn't mean we can't go back down. But man, if there's anything I've learned in life, it's that there's people that fix problems. And if you bet that problems can never be fixed, you're going to lose a lot. Because there's people on the opposite end of that who benefit from fixing them. So even shitty government can be fixed. We have Elon Musk trying to help with it now. Oil. Oil is getting ready to drop into the 60s. Let's see how it actually ended up closing today. It might have bounced a little bit. Let's take a look. It did. It's only down 1% on the day. It is finding a little bounce. One could argue maybe some bullish divergence here. I still think, though, that it can roll over. And if it does go up, it's going to be limited. And I've been right about the price of oil since over here. How long ago was that? At least March of 2022. Honestly, even before that. Because it was very easy to predict where things were going to go during the pandemic when it dropped off the face of the fucking earth because we closed down every society on the planet, right? It's pretty easy to predict it then, too. All right. Boy, I'm ranty today. Let's look at gold. My favorite thing to shit on. Outside of Kamala Harris. I will get better, I promise. All right, 24% upside in 13 years. Amazing, exciting. Oh, and there is this. Let's adjust this real quick here. We do have bearish divergence on the monthly time frame that goes back to July of 2020. We also technically have some bearish divergences over here on the MACD and some convergence pointing downwards too. So the monthly doesn't look super great for gold. And let's look at the weekly. The weekly honestly doesn't look any better. So yeah, I don't think gold looks really good right now. I think if you made your 24% and you got that, really recently here, since like in a year and a half, that's a pretty good number for a year and a half. I'd get the fuck out personally, but you do you. All right, let's see. What do we want to do next? Some other stuff. I'm going to jump into, actually, I'm going to jump over back here, and we're going to continue our path down. Marty Party is great. I've recently, James from Invest Answers, Marty Party, and a couple of other people that James likes online on X, I have been spending time together doing videos. Look on James' channel. It's great. Anyway, Marty Party Music is his handle. Looking at this guy and looking at his handle, you'd think he's probably an idiot or just pushing some music channel, right? But he's actually incredibly insightful and very versed on economics. And I don't know what his background is totally, but the dude's smart. And he said breaking Bank of Japan starts at the printer July 31st, 2024. U.S. dollar funds supplying operations against pool collateral program, by which the bank, after obtaining funds under the U.S. dollar yen swap agreement with the Federal Reserve, extends U.S. dollar denominated loans to counterparties, which are backed by collateral supported by the bank, to the bank by them. So basically, swap lines are open. Swap lines are open between us and Japan, and I don't think we're going to see the yen carry trade fall apart anytime soon. So if you were hoping for that to happen, and you watch a bunch of people that were celebrating because they were right for almost a week, I don't know if that's going to work out for them. We'll see. Maybe I'm proven wrong. I don't think so. All right, Ryan said up 15%, but I still don't see earnings. Oh, sorry, who's up 15%? Was that Matterport that you were talking about? And I don't know if did Bitfarms have earnings? I got this one showing. Does anybody else know of any earnings that are looking exciting right now in after hours? What's up 15%? Oh, SMCI. You were literally talking about that one. So it looks like Matterport is flat to down. BITF isn't doing anything. Let's look at SMCI. That's exciting. That seems like a narrative, just like we had the Palantir narrative last night, where they did really good and helped, I think, the markets. That and just the Japanese carry trade not falling apart. Rumors of Michael Saylor buying Bitcoin. Just a lot of really positive stuff yesterday was helping markets. But yeah, SMCI up 8% in after hours, hitting that resistance line at the next fib. It's good, though. It's good to see that it's going up. We'll see if it lasts. I'm going to actually probably keep this one up and running while we go over other stuff just to see how it does in after hours. So I'm going to move this over. I'm actually going to put it on the 4-hour so we can see that after hours price. Wow, it really had a spike. Dialing back now, but this thing was up to 725 and is at 666. Woo, scary. All right, this is going to be fun. Oh, I just moved the wrong thing. All right. Let me do this. I want to move this up. I want to make sure I can see it really good. You guys keep an eye on that and let me know if the price action gets crazy on this one. It looks good. I like this. So yeah, so we're sitting good on the yen carry trade. I'm not worried about it. Monitoring, high yield. And I think that's it. That's U.S. economy in a nutshell. We did have more data that came out today. The LMI Logistics Manager Index was actual of 56.5, which is better than the previous number. So this is looking good. And the definition of this, let me read it off so I don't butcher it. The Logistics Manager Survey is a monthly study aimed at revealing the status of U.S. logistics activity. The LMI score is a combination of 8 unique components that make up the logistics industry, including inventory levels and costs, warehouse capacity, utilization, prices, and transportation capacity, utilization, and prices. So again, it's a broader metric for the entire logistics market. And the thing that's interesting about this is, again, we're still seeing expansion. We don't have the same level of consensus and forecast on this indicator, but we're still seeing expansion and have really since the middle of last year. So almost a year of expansion in the logistics managers index. Doesn't seem like a bearish thing to me at all. The balance of trade. Let's look here. So I don't love that the balance of trade is down at 75 billion ish. What did it close at? August 6th, 73.1 billion. I guess it's a little bit more or it's a little bit more of a balanced trade away from us and towards other countries, let's just say China, than was forecast. So I don't love that. I don't like to see us buying more from China. But it's also not at the levels it was at the peak of the pandemic, which is frightening to me. So if you look down here, March 2022, when we were locking everything down and all we were doing is buying from China, that was frightening. Airbnb is getting hammered. That's interesting. Let's jump to that one. So we're seeing a little bit of decline too in the SMCI. Let's look at Airbnb, because that's one that's interesting. This could show a slowdown in travel. So I find that very fascinating. Let's pull that one up. Connect here. Let me see. Can I pull Airbnb? Okay. Ooh, yeah, it is getting hammered. I didn't actually pull up the indicator, though. Let me do that. ABNB. NB? D. B. There we go. I don't want to overwrite the wrong one. Let's kill this. So I think we're going to stick on this one. Ooh, they are getting butchered. Let's go to the 4 hour. Yeah, looks a little painful. Looks a little painful, guys. I'm guessing their forecast doesn't look really good. Again, it's probably one of those things where people are slowing down on trips. That might be an indication in the economy slowing. This could drop us more tomorrow if this is a prevailing theme. So we will take a look at Airbnb, and I'll probably have to do some digging into the earnings call to understand it better. Redbook year over year. So again, this is retail. This is like a culmination of retail. The Johnson Redbook is a sales-weighted year-over-year same-store sales growth in a sample of large U.S. general merchandise retailers representing about 9,000 stores. So it's not everybody, but it's supposed to be representative of roughly 80% of the equivalent of these 9,000 stores. And if we look here, again, it's harder to see over this longer time frame, but if we go to the 1 year, you can see how we're starting to curve a little bit higher, which is higher than previous, so we kind of want to see that. This doesn't look bad at a glance either. The RMC, our real clear markets, tip economic optimism. So this, we've actually ticked a little bit higher. If you look here and we just go over the shorter time frame, recently here we were just higher in January of 2024. Otherwise, we weren't. It's been a year plus, right? About 14 months. So we're hitting one of the higher levels, and it was lower than consensus and lower than forecast. So we could use more optimism. Time to fire up that money printer. Total household debt creeped up. Don't care too much. I need to dial into the minutia of this, and I'll try and do that over the next, between now and tomorrow morning, because there's other data that comes with total household debt that's probably more interesting. Hotels are greater than Airbnb. Maybe. I like Airbnb, but especially when you're traveling like with family, it's a lot easier to have a dedicated house personally. So I like Airbnb. I think it's a better alternative personally, but I do wonder why it's down 13.5% after hours. And is that reflection of the economics of just the economy as a whole? Very curious to find out. Again, a lot of these 42-day bill auction, 52-week bill auction, 3-year note auctions, they're definitely lower than they were. Look at this precipitous fall. Just in a short period of time. But again, we're getting some bounce on it. So it looks like we're stabilizing a little bit in the bond markets. We don't want too much money flowing into bond markets all at one time. We'd rather have a controlled demolition. Airbnb warns of slowing U.S. demand. So that's interesting. Yeah. So again, is that going to be more economic in nature? I got to dial into that one to figure it out and see what it actually means. All right, some other things, though. Speaking of slowing demand, I wanted to show just a few commodity prices around the world. HRC steel is high-density steel that's used in things like skyscrapers, right? And if you look at these prices, they're still near rock-bottom lows, prices we haven't really sat at for any period of time since, March of 2020. when things just fell off a cliff, and really, around that time, steel was getting cheaper, and then the pandemic happened and it stayed cheap, and then all of a sudden it just started skyrocketing with demand all over the place, shipbuilding, all this kind of stuff. So it's interesting to see still how low this is from the peak, 1926 versus the 685 number that we're running right now. And it's not just this, it's like everything. Look here, across most of just today, you see a little bit of a tick up in gas, but outside of that, we've been seeing drawdowns and like gasoline prices and a bunch of other stuff. If we look at gasoline here, again, it looks like it's rolling over. So does this tie in with demand across, for the summer being weak? And maybe that's also reflected in Airbnb's numbers? Good question. Airbnb Q3 revenue estimate, 3.5 lower than expected, and EBIT is 8.5% lower than expected. Okay, so it's getting weaker. But how weak and what's going to happen? So again, we're seeing gas not being crazy too, and coming down to like more reasonable prices from like before it started to really go higher in like 2 years ago in 2021. I'm sorry, 3 years ago. Jeez, that much time already? What? But yeah, so we're seeing prices coming down, and some things are tipping up today, but the general trend for the last month has been down in commodity prices, and I expect it to continue. All right, let's look at the CME Fed Watch tool real quick. We'll get into other stock specifics and Bitcoin in just a second here. So right now, we shifted a lot. We went from partially into 3 rate cuts yesterday to the data that's come in today. And so now for September, we're looking at a 68.5% chance of 2 rate cuts and 31.5 of 1. So we've shifted just all over the map. This is like 100% chance of 2 yesterday. So you're seeing some of the strength in data affecting some of this and saying, well, maybe it isn't so bad that the Fed has to cut rates right away, especially if they open a swap line with Japan and everything's kind of okay on the carry trade. And again, we want this to be controlled. We don't want it to come down rocket fast. Rates coming down rocket fast would draw people into bonds and probably pull them out of stocks. We don't want that. So we would rather see a controlled drop. All right. Fear and Greed Index. Again, let's update it real quick here. This is for stocks. It is reflecting 21, still extreme fear. Only a couple points climbed up from just the other day. Market momentum is waning. It's below the 120-day moving average. I don't know why they use 125-day on this, but again, it's showing slowing market momentum. Price strength is still pretty good. It's showing in greed. McClellan Volume Summation Index is showing fear. And put call options are starting to go up. So they're showing fear as well. People are trying to hedge. Market volatility, the VIX and the 50-day moving average was really in extreme fear. More than we were seeing in October of last year when the markets were kind of finding their bottom. So we had a big swing in that other direction. It looks like right now Airbnb is down 14.56%. Safe haven demand, extreme fear. So people, again, pushing towards those bonds. And then junk bond demand. It looks like junk bonds were skyrocketing and then have started to roll over versus demand or versus investment grade. So we'll see how it goes. And again, and what was that? When did that go up? When did it spike? August 2nd. Interesting. Oh, and this one just hasn't updated recently. It looks like August. Oh, okay, we do have days though. We're as of today, so it is reflecting that it's been drawing down. It looks like we saw peak junk bond demand versus investment grade on the 2nd, and so that was about 4 days ago. That probably makes sense. And then people have gotten more fearful and are running away from those. I don't normally dial into all the details, but I do think it's good to look at them every once in a while on the fear and greed to see what it's reflecting, right? So fear and greed on crypto, I believe we dropped into single digits. Yeah, we're at 17. So this thing's taken a while to get here, but let me see. Where is here's the chart. So it's taken a while to get here, but you can see that we are in the extreme fear territory within the crypto markets, and that is the strongest level of drop in 2 years. This is when you buy historically. I'm just telling you. All right, let me see. We're going to look at a couple other things here. We're going to switch now. We'll skip a chaotic world. That is very political. We're going to jump into Bitcoin. So our buddy, Mr. 100, I still think this is a nation state, maybe United Arab Emirates or something like it. Anyway, they've been buying rapidly. Look at this, 3,300 or almost 3,400 Bitcoin in a week, 2,800 just in the last 48 hours, the last 2 days. You can see that they thought this was a good deal. So that's amazing, and it's showing a lot of strength. Extreme fear for Bitcoin right now. I posted this twice. Oh, I did Ben Cohen's too. Again, he was more right than me recently, so I'm probably going to be speaking to him a lot, even though his chances of being right again in the future, based on being right so much recently, does diminish his hit rate, right? Because the more you're right, the more likely you are to end up being wrong. But yeah, fear and greed index for Bitcoin, again, showing the same thing. And the thing I like about him, and he's got his own data analysis with the into cryptoverse thing. You should check it out. He basically compiles his own database and takes a bunch of different metrics. But I like the fact that he shows history here, and you can see just how far down we've dropped again to that level. It's kind of repetitive, I guess, to what I already showed. But again, Ben's a good guy to listen to. Vivek, public companies raising to buy more Bitcoin. MicroStrategy, $2 billion. Similar Scientific, $150 million. Metaplanet, the Japanese company, $70 million. Are you paying attention? Been saying this for a while. Going to see more companies doing this plan. If nothing else, because their stock shoots up and it ends up giving them the ability to be able to pull funds from that to reinvest into their business. So if nothing else, it's just brilliant from a business standpoint. Vivek posted, even Google knows this. It says, can Bitcoin be stopped? And here's what Google had to say. Even Google, and this is saying a lot about Google. To even have a chance to stop Bitcoin, every government in the world would have to successfully coordinate simultaneously to shut down the entire internet everywhere and then keep it off forever. Even that improbable scenario, the Bitcoin network can be communicated over radio signals and mesh networks. I don't think people realize how resilient Bitcoin is, but there is no stopping it, and there is no political environment to stop it, because even right now, about 1/3 of the political base are invested in crypto, and probably an even larger number are interested in it or have a positive take on it and don't necessarily want the government cracking down on it. So, and when I say crypto, I'm talking Bitcoin and crypto. I don't want to fight about maximalist bullshit. Whatever. Bitcoin's the best. There's other shit too. It might serve a purpose. I'm not going to judge it. So, but yeah, another thing. Breaking, Morgan Stanley's 15,000 wealth advisors will start pitching Bitcoin ETFs to their clients starting tomorrow. These ETFs by BlackRock and Fidelity will start to go up dramatically. And I agree with that. And then here's the actual post about the 8 or 10 billion yen that Metaplanet's going to be looking to spend on Bitcoin. There's a signal here, I fear. And then I pointed out, I said, this carry trade's been going on for over 30 years. It's actually like 35 plus. I said, it's definitely not something you can taper without a whole bunch of band-aids. And tapering just means like trimming down, you're slimming down. And that you basically can't start to reduce liquidity or raise rates on the yen and expect it to go well. It just won't fucking work. It won't work. And so all I'm saying here is that I said, but the Fed can be pretty creative. And then again, the swap lines were opened shortly afterwards. And I said, I think our job is just to ensure that America and other countries around the world are leaders in the Bitcoin hash rate and friendliness towards the network and peoples who use it. Save the money, save the world. And so this was Bitcoin Munger talking about the fact that you can't taper a Ponzi. And I was just saying, yeah, you can't. But the Fed is going to be creative, and they were with their swap lines. And that I think our job is to make sure that Bitcoin is the strongest network in the world. And I also think that it's reducing the size of government to where we don't destroy our own currency. And we need to make the transition from fiat to Bitcoin smooth. We'll wreck the world and create massive wars if it's not. And I think some Bitcoin maximalists don't understand this. And so I want to get this out there that we don't want a violent transition from fiat to Bitcoin. That serves no one. It might even wipe out the planet. I mean, nobody wants nuclear war, and that could happen. So we don't want violent. We want controlled demolition. And we want to make sure that free nations, yes, and I will say this is bias, right? Because I come from a fucking democracy, whether you like it or not, whether you think we're really free, I don't give a shit. I think I'm free. And I come and I want free nations around the world that support democracy and believe in the principle to be the majority in the Bitcoin network. And I don't give a fuck if anybody doesn't like that, because I want other nations around the world to participate in it, including communists, dictatorships, all this stuff, because I want the people to benefit from it and eventually overthrow their governments or dissolve them, right? But I want free nations to be the controlling power. And if you don't understand why, you need to have your head examined. Tour de Meester. I went over this one yesterday. So I think we're good on the Bitcoin front. Again, good stuff happening in Bitcoin. Nothing too crazy going on right now. Let's look at the chart real quick. Throw it up. Take a look. Again, Bitcoin is looking good. 56.5 is not a bad place. Maybe we even test up to the 200 moving average before we start having some pain. I don't think it would be crazy, though, to grind here for a while. But I do think in the not too distant future, especially when the Fed starts cutting rates, we're going to see this fucking scream higher. That's just how it works. And people will say, oh, but Jesse, historically, when the Fed lowers rates. I hope I said lower. I think maybe I did. When the Fed lowers rates, the market will crash. Yeah, but have you looked at the timing? It doesn't happen right away. And with markets in as good of condition, I believe, as ours still are, we should see a melt up, not a crash. So I'm still rolling with that until I see differently. I gotta look at those Airbnb results too, though. All right, let me check out chat real quick, and then we'll look at more. But yeah, so far I'm liking what Bitcoin's doing. And even if we did range bound in this area and grinded tomorrow down or something, I'd love that too. Let's go back down to 52. Let's just grind down into this pattern and then launch off of it. I'm perfectly okay with that. This all still looks beautiful. All right, getting caught up with chat. Airbnb market cap was 79.6 billion, by the way. Yep. MB. It's nice that we now have only 2 and not 3 cuts priced in. I think that's smarter. It's insane. I think it's going to drop to 1. But historically, cuts in a recession were ugly for stocks. Not if. So there's no recession yet, right? So honestly, there's been a recession for the last couple of years. We already had 2 negative quarters of growth a long time ago in March of 2020. There's stocks right now that I can pull up that are down 80% from their highs. Square, PayPal, Sofi, Palantir was that way until they finally started to launch. But we've been in a recession, okay? We've been in one. And not every recession, and maybe I need to pull up one of these charts, find this fucking thing, and talk to it. But in the 80s and 90s, there were plenty of times where we lowered rates and the markets went up, okay? And I'm sure with macro, micro, ME, or whatever the site, I can probably find that and show it. But there's plenty of times where it didn't work out that way, and rates got dropped, and rates were dropping gradually, and it was fine. So if we end up only doing 1 rate cut in September, and the Fed says, no, we're good, and they got their swap lines up, and liquidity is still happening, and banks aren't falling apart, I don't actually think that the world has to fall apart. I'm sorry, I don't. There's nothing telling me that it is right now. And I do believe that the unemployment number is being skewed by a bunch of illegal immigrants in the country. And they will be a drag long term on the economy. But they're also a blessing over the short term because they lower wages. Now, that sucks if you're at the bottom cohort. So all the people that the Democrats say they support, which is funny. Because their illegal immigration actually causes pain on the lower class, the bottom 1/3 of the country, because these are the people that they're competing against. The people that might not have a college degree, the people that have lived poor their entire lives and maybe are generationally poor. That's who the illegal immigrants are competing against. So, but I believe that does have benefits to the economy over the shorter term. Longer term, it could get bad because you got to help house these people, feed these people, acclimate them to society, teach them English, pay for the services for medical and social programs that exist. And it's just a shit ton, right? So it's not good long term. But I think over the short term, it might be skewing some of the data, just like the lady who made the SAM rule said. I actually agree with her. So I don't think this whole lowering rates has to cause problems things. I don't think it's real. It can. if the circumstances are right. But if unemployment's actually being skewed and we're still seeing a lot of data that's pushing it where we don't need as many cuts, a day after the world was falling apart and people were calling for emergency cuts, and now we're like only 2/3 of, oh, hey, maybe we should do 2 basis points instead of 1 just a day later. So I don't know, man. I think people underestimate what the Fed has control over in the short term. Over the long term, they're fucked if we don't see growth. And like, that's just literally it. If we don't see the growth, we're fucked. If we don't cut costs, we're fucked. If we don't have some pain and do it the right way, we're fucked. If we don't pull the Javier Milei, Elon Musk approach towards spending as a government, we're fucked. And we do need rates to come down because the interest on the debt is high too, because we have so much of it already. So we need growth. We need interest rates to decline so that we can afford to pay our debt, and we need to lower costs. And we're going to do all those things if the right people come into power. Anyway, moving on. CLS, Intel market cap is just $114 billion by contrast. Sure, they're a transitional mess, but they make the most CPUs still. Yeah, Intel is a fucking disaster, though. But, again, they're going to be doing a foundry business, and they're reorging. And I think now is the right time to take the Elon Musk approach and fire people. Get rid of unproductive people. Refocus your energy on what you're trying to do as a company and where you need to be. We'll see if the existing CEO can do that. He's talked about it for years. CLS, anyhow, both sketchy investments, I agree. Dylan Hastings, don't forget Morgan Stanley recommending the ETFs to its clients. More to come. Yes, there's tons of... Yeah, there's tons of that. CLS, Jesse, I'm not sure about how your rightness probability logic sounds a bit folksy. Depends on why he's right and the conditions persist. Yeah, that's true. It is. And you're right, it's folksy. But there is a higher probability that the more you're right with something, that the next time you're going to be wrong. And if you're really good at doing your research, the probability of you being wrong will be offset by that, right? But, and Ben Cohen is pretty right about a lot of stuff. I've argued with him numerous times in the past, and he's proven me wrong. He's kind of like the Elon Musk of analytics. You get pissed at him, but then in the end, you're like, fuck you for being right again. So he could very well be right again. I was kind of a joke in a way. Sila said, poor other Satoshi Nakamoto, he should get royalties for being used so broadly. That guy. Yeah, he's just trying to live his life. I shouldn't say the real Satoshi Nakamoto, the guy who named Satoshi Nakamoto that lived pretty close to Hal Finney, who is Satoshi Nakamoto. People don't realize this, but Satoshi Nakamoto in Japanese script is like Hal Finney. And then also Hal Finney's neighbor was Satoshi Nakamoto. Hal Finney was somebody who had medical issues. I can't remember if it was what it was, MLS or what it was, but basically he ended up becoming a mute and unable to speak and communicate anymore. And so he literally, about the time that his medical condition was really kicking in, was right after Satoshi Nakamoto had bowed out of Bitcoin and started to step away from the project. So I don't think it's any... If you guys didn't know, Hal Finney is fucking Satoshi Nakamoto, and he's dead. So you should know that. If you're in this, you should know that. And you should know why you know that. And again, I don't think it's any small thing that in Japanese script, Satoshi Nakamoto means Hal Finney, and that Hal Finney's neighbor was Satoshi Nakamoto, the guy that everybody went after for like a short period of time, thinking he was the creator of Bitcoin. All right, C-List, you're free unless someone remotely disables your Teslas. What? What are we talking about? It's the housing sector, hotels, and meal service companies and sectors that have an internet in the current high migration numbers. I'll have to think about that a little bit. All right, so Bitcoin, again, I think it's going to see some... We could see downward pressure tomorrow. It would not be crazy to see it. It doesn't mean things are falling apart. I think it would be pretty normal. I do still love the bounce we saw in MicroStrategy. And this bitch could be volatile. But I do love the fact that it climbed a whopping 36% in 24 hours. I mean, that's less than 24 hours. That's pretty awesome. It shows that the crypto markets are pretty springy, and we can see more of that over here with Marathon, again, not up a ton today, but and down in after hours. But I would still argue, with as big of a cap as this thing is, the fact that it's up 26% in less than 24 hours is not a bad thing. And we'll look at CleanSpark. So again, CleanSpark bounced handedly off the 200 moving average. It's now above the 50 moving average. This is on the weekly time frame, so it's above all the major moving averages. But on the daily, it ain't. So again, maybe we see that rejection over here. But I still love the strength we're seeing. This market is very springy, guys. Now it could get beat up. So if you need cash, get cash. But a 28% increase on CleanSpark over the course of less than 24 hours is not a bad thing. Let's look at Cypher here. See how it did, and then we'll move away from Bitcoin and jump into some Tesla talk, and then we'll get into your guys' requests. And yeah, and I'll definitely be doing some work overnight here probably to see what's going on with Airbnb and getting a better understanding of whether or not they're just having issues as a company or whether or not it's a broader representation of what's happening in the global economy or in the U.S. economy and how they're doing in international business. I probably need to understand that. Now, again, we dialed up here. Oh, I don't know why that's happening. I hate it when it does. But we dialed up here and we're hitting that peak volume area. So again, in after hours, we're pushing when it comes to Cypher. And if we look here, let's see how much we're up. And I need to scroll up here to get that too. But let's see how much we're up. So about 21%. So this one's underperforming. It's probably still a little bit risk off because it's a smaller miner. But I do like the fact that it's up in after hours. And isn't Bitfarms earning call today? Can somebody confirm that? I'm just going to check on them real quick and see how they're doing. There's no movement in after hours. There is no way this could be their earnings call. Maybe it's just wrong on visual stocks, or I'm tripping. It says Bitfarms, but maybe it's wrong. Maybe they didn't have earnings today. You guys let me know. Otherwise, I'm going to jump back over. So I think we got the miners done. I'm going to jump back over and look at regular stocks. We're going to do that real quick here. I should say this. We're going to make this the Tesla segment, and then we'll do the rest of the stocks. Now, Tesla up 0.88%, down 0.87% in after hours. So still trending around that 200 mark, under the moving average on the daily time frame, the 200. But here's the thing. I like the ferocity of how we got up here and how quickly we bounced up to this. I do think that Tesla is going to start to establish itself above this. There's too much good news coming up, and we're going to look at that here in a second. And we have this massive gap over here going all the way up to 245 that we still need to fill right over here. And I think that's going to happen. I highly doubt that we fill this gap at 146. Could crazy shit happen and we end up closing that before we start going higher? Things are always possible. If I have a PayPal outperforming, I better fix this down here too. If I have a PayPal outperforming during that time frame, I will definitely be taking advantage of that. If PayPal for some reason went up when Bitcoin was going down and Tesla was going down, well, I'll just have to split the difference and get them both. All right, we're going to jump over to Tesla, and then we'll get back to the other stuff. Bitfarms is tomorrow pre-market. Okay, so maybe that just needed to be... Thank you guys for checking into it. I appreciate you. All right, Jesse, we didn't used to spend $110K a year housing military-aged men who migrated without permission. Yeah, it's fucking expensive, isn't it? But we can hide that. We can float that debt for a while, but it's not sustainable over the long term, is it? Those people that are here, the bad ones, need to be fucking deported. If we're going to keep the good ones, there need to be conditions that are associated with it. I don't think we actually let them vote for years. Maybe 10 years or something before they can vote. If they get to stay here, they need to stay here as people that are working and that are striving to do well by this country for the next 10 years, and then they get the ability to vote. But it shouldn't be used to steal votes. I know that fucking much. All right, Tesla. You guys pull me into the politics. Damn you, Silas. Damn you. But I kind of like it, so whatever. All right, Hallmark's catalog. He was talking about the Toyota Camry has a 15.8 gallon tank. He was talking about the price of gas in California and then the price of electricity and doing a comparison between the two. It's a crazy difference because a full tank of gas is like $73.18, and then it's only $13 for electricity. And then you get state government incentives in California too. It's got to be really hard to hate Elon Musk in California when you want to buy one of those Teslas because it's a much better deal. He said, but realistically, your average RV charging session will be like $5 or $6, whereas your average gas station stop will be like 50 to 70. So pretty interesting numbers, I got to say. And I think it speaks a lot to Tesla. All right, real quick. Elon getting political as fuck in so many ways. Sorry, this isn't me getting political. This is Elon Musk, so you can blame him. But I do think that this is wonderful. It is the CEO, Linda Yaccarino, talking about how a group of companies has systematically and illegally boycotted X. And other, Rumbler is another one that, again, I think it's like a very conservative-based YouTube version, right? Like it's just all a bunch of fucking right-wingers. But maybe not. That's what I hear. But they've been boycotting both of these, and so they're going to be doing like a class action lawsuit against it. And this is going to be fun to watch. This is going to make it to where this world organization that's like the marketing version of the World Economic Forum is going to be having a world of hurt and maybe lose a little bit of power in their ability to be able to influence advertising dollars. And I love that. And Elon Musk said, we tried to be nice for 2 years and got nothing but empty words. Now is war. And this is in regard to Google just found out that they can't rig the search market to exclude their competitors anymore. And soon a cabal of advertisers and agencies will find out that they can't arbitrarily engineer a boycott of Rumble and X. We joined X to sue them, and we'll sue them in court. This is Rumbler. So I got to say, guys, Google, you better be worried about your search because Grok 3.0, Elon said, is going to be the best AI on Earth, and you won't need Google anymore. I barely even use Google. Even just ChatGPT is getting so much better, the newer versions. And there's so many other versions that are out there of AI that are better than that. And Grok will replace them all. So Google, your days are numbered. You won't be able to censor the rest of the world anymore. And you better start pulling back and start becoming more of an open platform if you don't want to be left behind. Because Elon, when he goes to war, he goes to fucking war. And he will dismantle you. So, again, good luck controlling Elon Musk. And also, I don't know if I have it in the slide deck here, bookmarks, but I just wanted to say SMCI is getting slammed. Oh, did they flip? So they're getting slammed now too? Yeah, so we'll probably see more downside tomorrow, guys. I think that's possible if these two are getting hit. Let me just jump over here. Oh, yeah. Went from people getting excited, bidding this thing up to 726 to dropping it back down to what is currently acting as a support line. Let's see if it can hold. What is this thing connecting to? Is it even right? That's not right. What the actual fook? Let's go here. It's just arbitrary. It probably got broken support line. So we'll try and make it a little more accurate and reflective of reality going back to March of 2024. All right. So anyway, so this thing's hurting, dude. This is hurting. So SMCI now. So this, again, could create more downward pressure. We'll see how the Japanese yen carry trade plays out, if there's any secondary impacts from that, and whether or not we are 50% of the way fully through that ordeal and the unwinding of it. So we'll see. Let's see. All right, Holmar's catalog. This is great. He said, you never hear people say, I hate Elon Musk and I'm switching from Starlink. You never hear them say, I'll walk to the Las Vegas Convention Center. I'm not using Musk's boring loop. Hell, the people who hate him even keep posting on X. Even though they talk about going to other platforms, they're still here. So I just find that fascinating. And it says it's only Tesla that's targeted for attempted destruction. Why is that? I believe that AstroTurf effort to destroy Tesla, a major national asset, is coming from the fossil fuel industry, Tesla short sellers and auto dealers and unions and other enemies that and I would say just liberal people in all. Here's the deal. This is a publicly traded company. The Starlink is not. Right? Because SpaceX isn't. The Boring Company is not. So I love what you said here, Omar. But it's because it's a publicly traded company. It's because, yes, there's a vested interest in fossil fuel killing it, and auto dealers killing it, and auto manufacturers killing it, and unions killing it, and every liberal that fucking hates this man. So, and it's a publicly traded company. So this is what they can target, because they're not going to win with other stuff. So they have to target this instead, right? So I thought that was an important point. I wanted to touch on it. Breaking, Tesla China insured 12,500 cars last week. Best start of the month so far. This is good. This is signal. Farzad said, Elon Musk is disrupting social discourse in the same way he disrupted the auto and space industries, causing a massive immune response. With cars and rockets, the discomfort of the disruption was limited to professionals in those industries. With X, it's everyone. And I would agree. There's a lot going on right now. A lot of people that want to hate on Elon, people that are saying they won't buy a Tesla anymore, but they'll buy a Volkswagen, which used to be Hitler's car company. So I'm glad that people have their moral standards set straight. Farzad, Tesla totally doing this as a trial before the U.S. fleets. Mark my words. This was about kind of having a Costco thing. That's not real. And he's actually denied that claim. So that won't be happening. This thing reset, whatever, I don't care. We're done with the Tesla part of the conversation, I think. So, since we're going to avoid a chaotic world, we're going to now move on back to stocks, and we're going to look at some others, and we're going to start with my baby PayPal, which we touched upon a little bit earlier. It looks like we're seeing just a hair of weakness in the after hours, but this is a very strong position for PayPal. That's been grinding above this, and I think this gives I give this one the MVP for most ready to launch out of my list right now of stocks that I'm following. Hood. I should probably actually include this one in here too. So we had just such a massive drop in Hood. It went from 24.88. So maybe this one gets second placed for most ready to launch. Honestly, probably for virality, it's probably going to have the most crazy launch in the shortest period of time. I'm glad that Hood dropped this way because look, it could have done a head and shoulder, right? But instead, it just said, "Fuck, let's just do it now." and now Hood looks great, and earnings are tomorrow, and I'm very excited about it. I don't know if Amit will invite me on his channel. I cuss so much, and I'm so opinionated, so maybe he won't. But if he does, I'd show up and watch some Hood earnings with him. I think that would be fun. Sofi, again, it was down today. So I don't know what all is going on with Sofi, but I do know that my buddy Tanner was talking about the fact that that there might be some issues with a 5-year deal where Marqeta is signing with Barrow, and maybe this means that the tech platform isn't being developed as quickly with Sofi. I don't know if all that's true. I haven't paid enough attention to Sofi. I will try and dig into it a little bit more and have a better understanding of it. But I think that was a draw on the stock today. So again, I think the top winners are going to be like Hood and PayPal. I would have said Sofi, but Sofi seems to be having some pain. And again, I still worry about the banking sector and just how painful that is. And I don't lump PayPal into that because they have so many levers they can pull that haven't been pulled from mismanagement for a decade. I mean, the company's been mismanaged for a fucking decade and now has new leadership that's brilliant. It came from Intuit. So I really have a much stronger feeling about PayPal right now and less with Sofi, which is probably why I sold out of it and sold out of my TMF too. TMF today, I should show you guys that real quick. So TMF, I'm glad I sold all of it over the last couple of days because again, it's kind of broken down. I need to relabel this from TNA to TMF, but this thing dropped by 6.45% today. It's a loaded fund, right? It's a 3Xer. So I'm glad I got the fuck out and I used it to buy some of my favorite things on the dip. It worked out pretty good. I wish I would have had more to do it, but it did work out all right. Square, just kind of chopping. Again, I don't know. They beat on earnings, but this company is being punished. And they beat on earnings, but not revenue. So I don't know. Jack Dorsey has some stuff to kind of prove out the financials of his company. I am rooting for them, and I do think they have the ability to end up skyrocketing. I'm probably going to pay more attention to them starting next quarter and or if they grind down here, yeah, if they grind down for the next like month, 2 months, and other things are launching, I'll probably do additional research to see if this is something where we could see some positivity behind it, just as another opportunity. And I still have to do the research on my hedging too, guys. I haven't forgotten about it. I'm going to be looking more at hedges here because I do want to come up with a couple of those good plays, so that will be coming. Palantir. Dougie Fresh 69, yo, what's up, dude? Palantir up 10% on the close today. This is a nice little number it got to. I'll just show you here. I'll zoom in a little bit. What's nice is that we got back above the previous resistance. We've established support here, broke through hard, established support on the next fib, rocketed up, got crushed, established support on the 200 moving average on the daily, which is a great area, bounced hard, got up to the 100 on the daily, stopped there, launched again. This is today's move, right? Launched again all the way up here to 27, and then now trying to find support on this previous level. It looks good. It still looks strong. You just have to remember that there is some bearish divergences that go back to like May 23rd or May of 2023. So 26 months ago, that are pointing this thing down on the daily time frame. So I don't know. It still worries me, even though Palantir is so resilient and the fundamentals look so great. I do think it's going to have a drag on it, but I mean, they had a great quarter. I can't say anything about it, and the fundamentals can outweigh the technicals. So even though the technicals are getting crushed, if they just keep doing well, that could change, and then the oscillation will be to the upside again, and we test that out for a while. ARKG up 1.55% today. So again, PayPal did better, but ARKG holding on and doing better in after hours and up about 2.7% on the day on average, including after hours. And I think we're going to continue to see that as long as we don't have a crazy risk off of it again and see that carry trade or the high yield stuff starting to explode on junk debt. So we'll keep an eye on all those things, but markets are looking pretty strong. At Flux, Flux and DLO, I'm not even looking at. I'm not even paying attention to that shit. It's like less than it's like 0.2% of my portfolio right now for each one, and I just don't give a fuck about it. If it gets to a point where I really think it's a strong buy, I'm going to let you guys know. CLIS, it's NVIDIA computing power to real AI tasks with Palantir, not writing segments of college course papers. Yeah, something that can actually make some money, right? Selling actual video cards. NVIDIA is the play, and Palantir has something that's useful, so that definitely helps. Something that customers have been flocking towards, and that seems to, I only benefit from more. I've made that case for a while, and albeit I think it's going to. I think Palantir could taper off here for a while and grind, and maybe it's months, quarters, or maybe it starts going up more. I don't know. I do think, though, that I think it's going to have the technicals pulling it down. But you're right. It's way better than some bullshit open AI crap where they haven't even figured out how to make money yet and everybody's resigning from the organization. There's a lot of competition, open source competition out there. You got to remember, I forget what Zuckerberg's is. Maybe you guys can refresh my memory. I've used it. It's actually pretty good. But they're open sourcing it, and I think that's the right move. And so I think Zuck is actually... I don't know if it's growing out his hair or fighting people or what, but he seems to be trying to be a good person and somebody that isn't controlling and censoring, or at least that's what he's trying to represent. He did apologize for what happened with Trump. So we'll see if it ends up amounting to anything or if it's just talk. All right, so let's go back. Let's look at your stocks now. I said a bunch of shit. If you guys have a bunch of questions, please throw it up. I do need to switch let me fix something on OBS real quick. I need to have it I need to find it real quick. How do I add it? Oh, up here. Okay. I need to add a doc for my comments so that, there we go. All right, cool. So I can keep the current stuff. And hey, thank you Solar for becoming a member. Everybody that supports this channel financially, I appreciate you. Even if you're just doing something here, with a membership or just like a one-off donation or just even attending, I get some kind of pay from just you watching. So it means a lot. It helps offset my time. All right, let me see here. Let me look at the first ones. Ah, shit, did it do that thing? No, it didn't. Good. Okay, so Matterport we kind of looked at, but let me actually look at it from like a chart standpoint. I didn't really do that too much. So Matterport, it looks like that one is not doing great after hours. I don't know if earnings was today. I thought it was. Let me see. It is, and so it's just kind of choppy and flat. Doesn't look like anything interesting happened, and the chart, I don't know. Excuse me. The chart does look. I mean, it's kind of been a long time frame, which sucks, but it does look like bull flaggy ish. You could almost, say maybe there's like a wedge or something here. And I'd have to look at the longer time frame, or maybe the 4 hour to get a better guide. But I don't know, how have they done with the new company? I'm curious. Let me see if I can find it here. Let me see. Is Matterport still? It's under MTTR, right? See, the problem is you have a merger and acquisition, and so it's just like hard to really know what anything means. And look at Q2. Q2 was a major loss of net income, cash diminishing greatly, and cash flow starting to get closer to being positive, and they've got estimate. I don't know. This is just uninvestable to me until like the merger completely goes through and everything's happened. I just don't know what to make of it. All right. So let me see here what else we had. Brian said MBLY and Amazon. So let me look here. So one's Mobileye, I think. Right? Is that what it is? Let me see what the chart looks like. MBLY. I think I got that one. All right. Pulling it up. Wow. It's taking a massive shit. And let me see how far this is. That's a pretty big drop. Let's see. Just since the beginning of the year, end of last year, we have seen a 65% drop. Do I think this will get better? Fuck no. I really don't. But let's look at the financials, make sure I'm not talking out of my ass. I just think that, I wouldn't want to be competing against Tesla that's going to be selling the licensing for some of their software, and all the videos I'm watching about 12.5.12 or what are we, 1.5 now? They're coming out so quick, are so ridiculously good. I wouldn't love having that kind of competition. Are they doing anything else, really? Like, is it just vehicle camera-ish shit? Like, it seems to be what the name's geared towards. Not making any money for Q1 or Q2. Revenue growth is a loss and dropping by 3% year over year. Short interest isn't high. Insider activity was more sells in Q2 of 2023 than buying, like double. And again, the revenue's just flat. This is a dead company, in my opinion. Lots of cash. Lots of cash. Well, I shouldn't even say a lot. 1.2 billion. Forward PE's 58 for a company that's not profitable and can't prove that they're going to be profitable and has no growth. So I don't know what you guys are looking for on Mobileye, but I don't know why you like it. Maybe you can tell me. Needs 55. Show the man some love. Hit the like button. Yeah, that's always appreciated. Thanks, guys. C-list. Palantir has a small market cap. Financial advisors and fund managers love that. Years to tune out and be right. That's true. That's totally valid point, dude. I mean, I think it could double in the next 12 months. I think it could double. I think it can do that. But that's not enough for me. I will dump into that though. If I get some 3 to 5xers and some of these other things, or God willing, some 10xers, I will buy Palantir. Even if it's doubled in the next 12 months, I'll buy it because I still think it's a good company. So you're right. I mean, if you've got a long time horizon and you're patient, it doesn't hurt to be allocated. My one share is doing really good. Dougie Fresh 69. I am glad I never bought PayPal calls. If you bought 2025, that would totally make sense. I think right now is a great time to own them, and I think you'll regret it if you don't own the 2026s. But time will tell, and then we'll see if you still think that way. C-list. I was going to pull up Amazon too, though. I should pull up Amazon. I said I was going to do it. Let me do that. Somebody asked for it. And then we will go to other stuff. Amazon. Amazon. All right, this is for Brian. Is this a double top? I don't know. There's so much driven by market fundamentals right now. And let's actually look. I didn't focus too much on Amazon after the quarter. I think they had their quarter right. Let's go in here. Just want to see what, just at a glance. I mean, such a steady Eddie. It's stupid. AWS revenue, 26 billion plus. Stupid. North America making a smaller contribution. International not doing good either on profits, but AWS is its own country. It's just such a huge amount. Look at the profits on here. This is stupid. Like, all of their North American and international business for shipping and everything else they do doesn't equate to AWS. It's just funny. People thought they were stupid for going into that, and that's like the only reason they're making money. Really. Because if you look here, look at how painful it was to have these physical locations in 2022 when they were losing almost $3 billion between their physical business. Yeah, about 2.8 billion for quarters they were losing. If they didn't have AWS, they were fucked. So this is where Amazon could really turn into a decent short play if for some reason they start losing a decent amount of market share in AWS. I don't know if that's realistic at all from a technical level, and if there's a slowdown in the broader economy. If the combination of those two happen, if just one of those happens, it's detrimental to them and they can get hurt. But if two of them happen, woof. And then you got Zuck. Zuck don't give a fuck. He's just selling. He's just like, take this fucking stock. I don't want it. Look at that. Look at that. What is that? 50, how many? 50 million, 51 million shares? Something like that. It's a stupid amount. So just massive selling. But remember, he was a little bit early too. He was doing this Q1 of 2024, and he's doing it heavy into Q2 of 2024. So like they've been selling for a while. But again, with estimates going up, I don't know. Amazon still looks like a pretty decent company. One could argue that it's a little overvalued. The PE used to be like 9, I want to say, or maybe that was Facebook. It was low. On both of them, I think. All right, let's see what's up next here. We got some people talking to chat. I sold 100 PayPal October 2024 $66 or $65 calls at profit last week and event, and last two got the 2026. That's smart. 2026. You got to buy yourself time with PayPal right now. Michael Quinn, Jesse, can you provide a top 10 book recommendation? Listen to fewer recommendations, have enjoyed them and learned. Which ones have you listened to, man? Like, it depends on what we're talking about. I really like, again, one of the first books I ever really read on Bitcoin is the Bitcoin Standard, right over in the middle. There's Broken Money by Lynn Alden. I think that was a really good book. You got to have Elon Musk's book from Walter Isaacson. There's so many good ones. There's a book about abundance that I think is really great. I don't know. There's so many good books, man. The Fourth Turning is a thing to know. Oh, The Price of Tomorrow by Jeff Booth. If you haven't seen that, that's a really great one too. There's so many good books, especially in the Bitcoin sector, that talk about finance that I love. But let me know, are there specific, like, is it all finance that you're questioning about? All right, let me get further through here. Albert, I'm looking for people that have stock tickers. PayPal, I already did that. All right, let me see what else we got. If you guys got something, let me know. SMCI, we already glanced at. Do you ever dabble in biotechs? If so, can you take a look at ADAP? I don't, Dylan, but I can take a look at it. I mean, I do. I'm in ARC Genomics, and I don't know if that's something that would be under ADAP. I use that basically to limit my risk. The problem I have with biotechs is, like, look at all of them, dude. They just all fucking lose tons of money until they don't. And you don't know which one is actually going to end up doing anything of real value unless you're like a brilliant genomic scientist and you know what's coming in the future. By the way, SMCI down almost 12% now, really taking a bath in after hours. But yeah, so this thing just loses, like they lost $48.5 million last quarter, and then they only made $5. and their cash pile's getting lower, and they're diluting the shit out of their fucking customers, or the people, not customers, people that hold their stock, and they've got some estimates on revenue, but why isn't it consistent? These are just gambles to me. I'd rather own Arc Genomics. That's pretty much always what I think about the biomed space, unless you know a lot more that I do not. And then, if so, tell me, man. Educate me. MB, have you guys realized how tight is the correlation between BTC USD and Sol USD and USD Japanese yen? No, but I'll take a look at it. It wouldn't surprise me. It wouldn't surprise me at all. Bitcoin is like the most liquid asset on earth, and so it moves when all this other shit moves. But it's interesting that the pair, I mean, I guess it's currency. Yeah, it makes sense. It makes sense that Bitcoin and Solana, these high vol assets, are going to move a lot in regard to the US dollar, and that's going to have some kind of correlation with what we see between the US dollar and the Japanese yen. That all makes sense to me. Dylan Hastings, they just got FDA approval for their treatment of solid tumors. Are they going to be successful at it, Dylan? Do you know if they're going to be successful? And what is the market for that? See, there's just so many things that I can't financially gauge that, because it's like, okay, how much can they charge? How much can they make? What's their total addressable market? I don't know. It's just a bunch of things where I just don't feel like I have the full picture of it. Sela said, I made good money in some biotechs, but a few to zero. Not for most people. You suffer a lot of gain experience, and relatively as tech, it's easier learning curve. A lot of gain relative to tech's easier learning. Yeah, tech is easier. Genomics is not easy. And understanding the market is not. They project $400 million a year. Well, I tell you what, how quickly are they doing that, Dylan? Do you know, like, when they plan on ramping? Is that like 5 years from now, or is that soon? Because if it's soon and they can start giving estimates that have real... See, here's what I don't like. It's like, okay, well, if they're doing that, why do we have Q2 at 38 mil and then Q3 at 8, which is nothing again? And why are they losing money? When are they actually going to build this thing? But keep an eye on it, dude. If you guys start to see things where you really think they're turning and the stock is getting beat up, but it looks like they're going to be profitable, or you can start to see them ticking up and maybe people aren't paying attention to it, then I'm interested. If we can get a couple of quarters where it looks like something might actually be happening, and it's turning like into a real company, you know what I mean? That doesn't just burn through capital, then I'm interested. Or just articles that show me why that's actually going to happen before it happens. I'm interested in that too. Per CNBC, Airbnb warns of slowing in U.S. economy. Yeah, you said that earlier. Just seems like too high market cap for what they do. I realize it relative to earnings, but it seems that they make... Yeah. I really am curious about the fundamentals behind what's happening in their business. That's what I'm going to focus energy on. Let's look here. How do you think CleanSpark's earnings will look tomorrow? I think they're going to be good, and I think it's going to be hard, right? Because they're going to have to value at the end of the quarter. But how are we doing? So how are we doing for the quarter? Oh wait, wrong screen. Let me just go back over here and select Bitcoin real quick. So what were we at for the end of the quarter? Where was Bitcoin's price? Kind of in the shitter, I think. Nope. All right, so a little bit. No, yeah. So about 60,000 a Bitcoin. So it's technically better off than it is now. But hash rate went up a lot, and mining efforts, became more difficult. And then there's costs for everything. We'll see. I think they're going to do good. I think they're going to show growth. It just all depends on how the market feels about things and whether or not they're positive about it, or whether they just see a lot of cost and don't see Bitcoin moving, because Bitcoin hasn't moved really since March, right? Like, not in the right direction. So I think there's going to be a lot of pessimism. Maybe that draws down miners more, but I also think that they're already down a lot. So I think they'll perform and execute at a fundamental level. And I'm going to be doing the earnings tomorrow too for CleanSpark. I want to be a part of that one. But how the market reacts is going to be something different. Alex Garcia, yesterday at Open, I got a call from someone called Margin. Market recovered, so I didn't call back. Are you okay? Are you good, man? Or did you get Margin called? Are you okay? Like maybe it flipped around and you were all right? Let me know. See, listen, I had a drug company, Tranzyme, for gastroparesis, but its mechanism of action proved inadequate. Bought out cheaply, then snuffed out. Yeah, see, that's the problem, man. Again, it's one of those things of just making sure that it's actually going to work. You got like drug trials and all these things that tell you it's going to work, and then you got to push it to market. Hope you don't fail. You got buyouts. It's just complicated as shit, for me at least. Dougie Fresh 69, gold is up more than Bitcoin in 3 years. Yeah, that's just a really cherry picked fucking number. Because again, so let's do that game, okay? So let's go back. So gold is up more than Bitcoin in the last few years, right? If you cherry pick the time frame, you can come up with that. But I can go back 13 fucking years and see 24% increase. That's the number I'm going to cherry pick. You know what? I don't even have to cherry pick that fucking number. Let's go to the depths of what's happened in the last 13 years. It's up 126% from the very fucking bottom. So, but if I look at Bitcoin, let's go back 13 years. You know, we can't. You know why? Because it's not even fucking remotely comparable. Let's look here. Let's go to BTC. Let's look at Bitcoin. You know what? I can't even, which fucking one can I even use that goes back far enough? That's the problem, really. I can't go back far enough. Let me see. Maybe all-time high, and maybe this worked. All right, let's just do a quick comparison visually. Let's visually compare gold. Let's be fair. Let's go back, let's go back to like, from the bottoms. Okay, so gold is up down here. What is that number? 94 million%? Is that right? You guys see that? So gold is somewhere down here. Bitcoin somewhere fucking up here. So yeah, I don't know. I personally probably won't cherry pick the Bitcoin gold numbers because that wouldn't be fresh to you, Dougie Fresh 69. Anyway, that rant's done. Thank you for giving it to me. Alex Garcia flipped around, so I was all right. So all good. That's good, man. I saw puts on RH using margin and found myself over leveraged. Gladly market recover. Oh, please don't use margin. Please don't use margin. I hate margin so much. That's like one of the 3 rules from Warren Buffett that will destroy you is margin. So I just don't love it. And let me get rid of this comparison because it'll hurt people's feelings, showing them how badly Bitcoin has fucked them. I'll have to do it later. Oh, there we go. It's there for a second. There you go. Now you get your cute little gold chart back. Cute little baby gold chart. All right, where was I at? Let's scroll down here. Intel market cap. Intel. How the fuck is Intel doing? I'm going to pull that one up real quick. Such a fucked company. Did they get really decimated? They were getting screwed. And then the market turned to shit. So these guys, not pretty at all. If this is the bottom, I mean, dang, does this become an options play? This is cray. You know what? That's not even like a good thing. Let's just take it out. Huh? Or is this just double topped and done? This is an evil looking setup. Looks way better over here because it's like you got the wickedest cup, multi-decade cup. And then if this was like the handle, this thing looked beautiful, man. I was very excited over here. But look at this. Oh, so not good. Just such a poorly run company. I do want to look at the financials real quick just to see how they did for their quarter because I really didn't get a chance to pay attention. That's one thing I got to do. I got to get more on more earnings calls. I'm going to try and make that an objective. So, yeah, just death. Just death. Luckily, they had the client computing revenue, but just not good the last 3 years to see massive declines with no real growth. And then, again, GPUs are taking over, so it's like nobody gives a fuck about the CPU anymore. And then their GPUs, again, they're like graphic card ones for toys. They're not even good at that with the software. They don't just, again, I don't know. Intel really needs their foundry business to take off. It needs to be better run. All right, let's see if there's anything else. I might call it here, guys. What are we at? We're at an hour and a half anyway. There's a good time to stop. Dougie, that claim ain't very fresh. You guys are great. I love how you guys talk. And I love that last numbers of yours is 69 too, Dougie. Sorry for shitting on your gold, but it's the truth. All right, so maybe, again, I think the moral of the story is maybe there's a down day tomorrow. We got Airbnb being hit. I need to see what's going on there. I don't care much about SMCI. Maybe just headline caring. But I'm curious about Airbnb. And the rest of the stuff made the economy look stronger. But then these earnings with Airbnb and SMCI maybe make it look a little bit weaker. But all in all, our earnings have been good this season, so or this quarter. So I don't know. I don't think it's too big of a deal. Let's see how tomorrow goes. Like I said at the very beginning of this, I think there's a decent chance that we can just trend side to down and for markets. And I actually don't hate it if we do that. It would be very healthy. Oh, that's Bitcoin. It would be very healthy. Oh, that's PayPal. Anyway, you get. Oh, wait, there we go. S&P. It would be all right if we just grinded and then found our way up again. I get more scared of like a really strong bounce. I would rather see downward pressure wane and volatility drop and then just really make a measured move instead of just an insta bounce. Insta bounce is okay, but if we insta bounced, I would want to be up here right now. I would want to be like a fucking strong bounce. So I'm almost leaning towards I would rather have peace and quiet for the next couple of days in markets where it just kind of trends down to sideways and then take off. That's the moral of the story, I think, right now. And then watch high yield credit swaps and then also watch the Japan carry trade. So that's what we're going to be doing and looking at currencies and making sure that things are going to be okay. But I'm excited, guys. I think there's a lot of good stuff to come in the future. We just need to manage our money. And I don't think that Bitcoin is going to make you poor. And I do think that Optimus is going to end up taking over and that autonomy is going to kick off. So we're going to end it on that one with a little bit of Optimus. So peace out, guys. Love you very much. Thank you for sticking around this long.
Optimus.
And we will see you tomorrow.
The robotic humanoid under development by Elon Musk's Tesla Inc. is sparking concerns around job security.
This is not financial advice, silly.
Robot just stole my job. I'm there like, oh my god. I blame it on Elon. He's taking all I got. Turned up to work and went to start my day. Was barely late, like 9:08. So took my coffee break. Then I got hungry, so I just stopped by the free buffet. But then to my dismay, I heard somebody say, "Attention, humans, you have lost. You have not met your quota. Pack your belongings in a box. Now it's over." Robot just stole my job. I'm there like, oh my god. I blame it on Elon. He's taking all I got. But I'm in management. I work hard every day. I need these benefits. Health and 401k. How could they do this shit though? Where will I trade my crypto? I had a second monitor for Twitter. Where will it go? Somebody please stop the bus. I mean, not the fuss, but there's lots of us. And now you say you won't pay me to play ping pong because Optimus. I mean, who employs a damn humanoid? Some new droid for you to exploit. Deploy to destroy your human droid. No lunch breaks, great. Get a few deployed. Your time is up, human inferior to me. I'll take it from here. You're relieved of your duty. Robot just stole my job. I'm there like, oh my god. I blame it on Elon. He's taking all I got. Robot just stole my job. I'm there like, oh my god. I blame it on Elon. He's taking all I got. It's okay, human, please don't cry. You can always go and become a Twitter thread guy. Make pretty pictures with Midjourney on your new PC. I'll make some YouTube videos about ChatGPT. Sucker. Robot just stole my job. I'm there like, oh my god. I blame it on Elon. He's taking all I got. Robot just stole my job. I'm there like, oh my god. I blame it on Elon. He's taking all I got. I mean, I didn't even write these songs.